We humans have spread all across the globe, and in doing so, we've created this incredible diversity of cultures and appearances. But how do we actually classify all of this? We throw around terms like race, ethnicity, and language all the time, but let's be honest, they get jumbled up. So today, we're going to untangle these ideas and figure out what they really mean. So let's just get right to it. What is the real difference here? It's a question that's so important for understanding our history, our societies, everything really. And to find the answer, we have to start with the most loaded and misunderstood concept of them all. And you heard that right. I said invention. Because as we're about to see, the idea of race isn't some fundamental biological fact. It's an idea, and it's an idea with a very specific and surprisingly recent history. At its core, the whole concept of race was an attempt to categorize people based on stuff you can see. Physical features like skin color or hair texture, or the shape of someone's face. It was a sorting system built on whatever physical traits a particular society decided were important at the time. And this idea really hit its stride in the 19th century. In the West, a system of 3 major races was proposed. But this was never just innocent science. It was almost always tied to really harmful ideologies like eugenics, this dangerous and totally false belief that you could somehow improve humanity by ranking these so-called races. It always had a political angle, and often a pretty dark one. And this slide, wow, this really says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got that old, outdated 19th century model with its neat little boxes. But then you look to the right, and that's what modern biology tells us. Just one entry. Homo sapiens sapiens. One species. That's it. That's all of us. So here's the bottom line, the most crucial point of this whole section. Modern science has completely debunked the idea of biological races. Genetically speaking, we are all way, way too similar to be divided up like that. The physical differences we see are, from a scientific perspective, just skin deep. Okay, so if race isn't a real biological thing, then what about ethnicity? Well, this is where we shift gears. We're moving away from biology and towards something completely different, culture. Right, so unlike race, which tried to be about our bodies and our genes, ethnicity is all about what we share culturally. It's not about what we look like, but about our shared practices, our beliefs, and our traditions. So when we say culture, what are we actually talking about? Well, you can think of it as a mix of these key ingredients. Things like a common language people speak, shared religious beliefs, and all the distinct customs and traditions that make a group unique. These are the real building blocks of ethnicity. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Just like the concept of race, the idea of ethnicity has a complicated past. It got used pretty arbitrarily, especially back in the 19th century, when new countries, these nation-states, were being cobbled together. Political leaders would draw lines on a map, lumping some people together and separating others, which makes finding one single objective definition for any ethnic group almost impossible. All right, this brings us to our third and final concept. And this is the most scientifically solid of the 3. We're talking about classifying languages into families. This gives us a much clearer, much more evidence-based map of how human groups are connected. The idea here is actually pretty straightforward. Think of it just like a family tree, but for languages. A language family is a group of all the languages that evolved from a single common ancestor, what linguists call a proto-language that was spoken thousands and thousands of years ago. And this is where it gets so fascinating. Just look at the Indo-European family. I mean, who would guess that English, German, Persian, and Hindi all share a common ancestor? It's wild. Or that Arabic and Hebrew are related through the Afro-Asiatic family. This shows these incredibly deep historical connections that you'd never guess just by looking at them. So this is all making sense, but it probably has you wondering, what about languages that don't seem to fit into these neat family trees? What about languages like Japanese and Korean? And the honest answer is, we're still working on it. Linguistics is a living, breathing science, and for some languages, like Japanese and Korean, there just isn't a scientific consensus yet about where they came from or which family tree they belong to. It's a massive historical puzzle that researchers are still trying to piece together. So let's bring this all home. We've taken apart the idea of race, we've unpacked ethnicity, and we've mapped out language families. What's the big idea? What's the one thing you should walk away with? It really all comes down to this simple, powerful number. Biologically, we are one single species. The divisions that seem so important are things we've created. They're social and they're cultural, but they are not biological. In the end, this quote really says it all perfectly. Humanity is a single biological species that has nurtured a wide diversity of cultures and languages over its long history. Understanding the real difference between these concepts helps us see that amazing diversity for what it is, a beautiful testament to our one shared human story.